Are you focusing on what you can't do anymore, or what you still can do? Still can do, right? I love basketball. Right, I'll give you a short story about me. I love basketball. I played basketball in college. I wanted to play basketball for the rest of my life. And I was 40 years old, and I was playing in a rec league at Lifetime, and I tore my Achilles. And if those of you guys know injuries, that's pretty much a death sentence in terms of your basketball playing days. Now, I said, you know what, it isn't. I've seen a bunch of people play basketball after they're tearing their Achilles. It's just harder to do, right? So, some of my friends, after I rehabbed and after I kind of got it corrected, I said I was never going to play basketball again, and they're like, let's just go shoot around, right? Let's just go shoot around. I'm okay with shooting around. I'm like, I'll do that. That's fine. I can shoot around. And then my friend shows up. I'm already at the gym. My friend shows up. He's got 3 other guys with him. And he's like, you're going to play in those? And I was wearing like some crappy running shoes. And I said, no, we're just going to shoot around. He's like, no, we're going to play 2-on-2. And I was like, no, bro, I'm done. So anyway, I didn't want his friends to think poorly of me. So I was like, okay, I'm going to try. All right, I'll get in there. And as soon as we started playing, basketball took over again, right? The things that I thought I couldn't do, all of a sudden I was doing. I jumped and I was like, oh no. And as soon as gravity and ground reaction forces come back, I'm screwed. And I landed, and nothing happened. I didn't hurt myself. I was like, wait, what? Huh, that's interesting. So I can jump up and down and not hurt myself. And I didn't think I could play basketball anymore, but I'm currently playing basketball. I guess I didn't know the math, because obviously the things that I thought I couldn't do anymore, I was doing currently. It was showing me that, hey, you may have been wrong in your thinking, right? And you may have limited yourself when those limits don't necessarily exist. Now, my next question for you guys is, are you limiting yourself where maybe those limits don't necessarily exist? And if you are limiting yourself, where is that line of, here's possibility for me? I wasn't here for one of the other speakers, but I had heard the story of people were saying he couldn't do this and he couldn't do that, and he's like, well, I'm going to. Right? Where is that for you right now? Right? Where is that to where this is what you thought you couldn't do anymore? Right? Where are you in terms of being able to do that? Right? For me, it was basketball. I don't want to play in a 5-on-5 full court game because I'm going to get too competitive and I'm going to increase my risk of doing something stupid. Right? But I thought my limit was shooting baskets. But in reality, my limit was over here somewhere, and I still don't think I'm to my limit, right? All of a sudden, my limit was actually not there, it was over here. It was playing basketball, somewhat competitively, and actually doing things I did not believe I could do. But my body and the earth decided other things were gonna happen, right? So where is your limit right now? Rivka, I feel like you want to say something. I know that. Rivka's there early. Some of you guys standing, if you want to keep standing, I'll give you something else to do. Right? I'm going to give you something else to do right now. Think about your brain. Think about where you're at right now from an energy level. Right? I know it's the end of the day and you guys have been here for a long time, but think of where you're at from an energy level. Maybe you're getting a little bit more tired. Maybe things are kind of winding down for you. I'm about to attempt to change that. Right? So if you want to stand up and you want to do this, here's what's going to happen. So we're going to do this same thing. We're going to stand shoulder width apart. Right now, all I want you to do is take your right foot and tap it forward. Right? You're going to tap your right foot forward, and you're going to bring your arms all the way up overhead, as far back behind you as you can. Right? Do it 1, 2, 3 times. Then you're going to do the same thing with your left foot. You're going to tap and bring your arms back behind you as far as you can. All right? Then we're going to stand with our feet together. We're going to crouch down. We're going to reach in front of us. And then we're going to move our feet apart, open up as far as we can. Crouch down, get small, open up, get big. Crouch down, get small, open up, get big. Maybe you do one more. Who all in here can breathe?
I can't.
All right, here's what we're gonna do. I'm not gonna do this because my mic is probably gonna get very loud. But what I want you to do is we're gonna punch your breath out. Right? And so what I want you to do is you're gonna take a big breath in through your nose and then punch your breath out through your mouth. So I'll do one. It's gonna be like this. Right? You're gonna do that 10 times. It's punch, punch. You go. All right, I'll give you about 10 seconds to do it.
Don't you do me. I lost count.
Some of you guys may have passed out. But the other ones who didn't, how do you feel right now? A little bit dizzy. Some of you guys might be a little bit dizzy. Some of you guys might be a little bit more alert right now. All right? So what we're doing is moving the tissue of the body, right? We're changing our lung capacity through those breaths. And it's going to give you that little bit extra. Right? It's going to give you that little bit extra.
So I did props.
How many of you guys are from the Midwest? Any of you guys?
Do you have any answers?
Right. Have any of you guys taken a trip in your car that lasted longer than, let's say, longer than 2 hours, right? At night, right? In the winter time, right? All right. I did this a lot when I was younger. I'm from Iowa, and girlfriend at the time lived in Chicago, and then vice versa. So I drove from Iowa to Chicago, which is about a 3.5, 4 hour drive. Does anyone know the landscape of Iowa to Chicago? It's some of the most boring plains in the world, right? So at night, when there's nothing going on, you start to get a little tired, right? What is one thing you could do to give yourself a little boost? Sing loud music, right? Okay, maybe I did an unconventional thing. Yeah, that's the one. That's the one, right? So you rolled that window down and that cold air just came and hit you, right? Going 70 miles an hour, because I didn't really speed, right? Going 70 miles an hour, and all of a sudden you got another 10 minutes in you, right? Why do you think that happened? Yep.
Focus.
You changed your environment. Right? You changed your environment so your body and your brain got a new stimulus to adapt to. Right? We talk about neuroplasticity, and I know that's a big word in here a lot from a lot of these presenters. We talk about neuroplasticity, and it allows your brain to adapt to the new stimulus that you give it. Right? That's why movement's so important. Right? We start to give our body new things to adapt to, and your brain is going to respond. Right? It doesn't matter if you have Parkinson's, it doesn't matter if you've had a stroke, it doesn't matter. It'll change at different levels for different people, but that still remains the same for everybody, right? The ability to adapt to new stimulus that you give your body is kind of our secret power, right? And if we continue to give it that new stimulus, whether it be going to Rock Steady, whether it be doing sticks class with Orlando, right? That new stimulus, the new patterns that you're giving your body and your brain will say, I need to adapt to that. I need to adapt to that. So what happened was when I rolled that window down and I got that breath of, negative 16 degree air sent to my face, my body said, okay, hold on. We gotta figure this out, man. And so that gave me an extra 10 minutes of like energy, because my body's like, yo, we're ready to go. What do we need? Because that was not normal, right? That's what exercise is. And if we don't value that, what is the thing that will happen? You start to decline, right? And that is for anybody. That's not just for people with Parkinson's. That's for every single person. If we don't value movement, we don't get to stay the same, right? It goes for everybody. If we don't walk, right? If we don't play, if we don't exercise, we do not get to stay the same. There's your body, and I don't know if a lot of you guys have heard this term, but homeostasis, right? Your body is trying to continue to be in homeostasis. Does it ever get there and stop? Well, there's one way it stops, but then you're no longer in homeostasis, right? But that's not what happens. It never stays there. So we always have to be continual movers, continual exercisers, right? So right now, here's the next exercise. I want you to stay as still as possible. Like, do not move. Don't move. You blinked. Don't move. You're still moving. That's not why. But even when we're at rest, we're moving. Right? Even when we're at rest, that idea of neuroplasticity is at play. Because if I sit right here for 10 hours a day, do you think my body's going to say, oh, I'm going to make you great at basketball now? No. What is it going to make me great at? Sitting right here. And then when I want to do something else, is it going to be like, oh, you should be pretty good at that too? No, it's not. Right? I have two stories to tell you. One about, she's not here anymore, because Nadine was here. I wanted to tell you about Nadine's story about gardening. But Nadine is a member of ours at the gym. And the other day she came into the gym and she goes, hey, I want to let you guys know something. She's like, all these workouts are really making gardening much more fun, right? Because now I can squat down there and I can stay down for a little bit longer. And you know what? So I really want to tell you, this stuff is working. I mean, that's news to me. I didn't know it worked. But it's just one simple thing to where we start practicing and putting our bodies in positions that are not necessarily uncomfortable, but maybe new and novel. That we can start to adapt to those new and novel stimulus, and then all of a sudden they become part of our movement library, right? Or our movement toolbox, right? Another story, Eric. He's a 50-something-year-old member of ours, and he told me when he was in his early 40s, his doctor had said, you know what, man, your shoulder, you got the shoulder of like a 70-year-old. And he's like, and you're just gonna have to deal with it. And this happened 2 weeks ago. He said, you know, it's funny, coming in here, he's like, I remember my doctor told me I wasn't gonna be able to move my shoulder again. He's like, but a lot of these classes, he's like, I can go like this now, I can move my shoulder over my head. And I said, it's not necessarily the classes. It's that you decided to take action and put your body into a situation where it has to adapt. Not necessarily forcing it, but greasing the groove of like continuously convincing your body that this is okay. This is okay. This is going to be a challenge, but this is okay. And if we get through this, I'm going to pay you back in more capability. Right? And that is applicable to every single person in here. is you can decide to say, I want to be a little bit better than I am right now, right? Because Rebecca's in the back, but she knows I've said this for years. You do not get to stay the same, right? There's not one part of this that says you get to stay right where you're at. This is fine for you, because that's not going to happen, right? So you, every day, get to decide, I'm going to be a little bit better, I'm going to try a little bit more, or, it is what it is, I'll move this way, right? We can decide right now to say, I'm not going to let myself move this way, right? What's the rock steady phrase? Right? There's one phrase I'm looking for. Fight back. Right? Fight back. As morbid as this sounds, once we have this, it's always a fight. Right? It doesn't matter the situation you're in. If we do nothing, we lose. Period. For every single one of us. If we do nothing, we lose. How many of us have the opportunity to do something? Raise your hand. Do you have the opportunity to do something? Something more than you're doing right now. And we're going to go home from here, and Sunday's going to come, and Monday's going to come. That's the only thing I want you to remember from what I just said. Sunday will come. Are you going to do just a little bit more? Monday's going to come too. And Monday you're going to wake up tired and you're going to get all those, snap, crackle, pops that we were talking about at the beginning of this talk. And you're going to be like, I'll do it later. You know what? Maybe not today. I'm just feeling a little bit off. Or are you going to say, okay, I see what you're giving me today. I got this. And you do a little bit more. That's all I got, guys. That's all I got.